Hello and thank you all for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour. And with the news, I'm Tabitha John. Ethiopia conducted its 6th general election today, and today's news will mainly focus on that. Do stay with us.
በሲዳማ ክልል 12 የፖለቲካ ፓርቲዎች በደቡብ ክልል 23 የፖለቲካ ፓርቲዎች ያሉ ሲሆን
በደቡብ ምዕራብ ሸዋ ዞን በወሊሶ ከተማ ተገኝተናል። በዚህ ዞን ከ300,000 በላይ መራጮች
እኛም እዚህ አፋር በመገኘት በአፋር የሚካሄደውን ሂደት ወደናንተ እናጋራችኋለን። ታምራየ ወንድማገኝ ነኝ ከአፋር አባአላ።
በኢሉ አባቦር ዞን ሁለት የፖለቲካ ፓርቲዎችና 3 የግል እጩዎች ይወዳደራሉ። በዞኑ በ6 የምርጫ ክልሎች 506 የምርጫ ጣቢያዎች ይገኛሉ።
በአማራ ክልል ምዕራብ ጎንደር ዞን ለስድስተኛው ዙር ጠቅላላ ሀገር አቀፍ ምርጫ 2 የምርጫ ክልሎችና 170 የምርጫ ጣቢያዎች ተዘጋጅተዋል። 10 የፖለቲካ ፓርቲዎችም ይሳተፋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል።
ለስድስተኛው ሀገራዊ ምርጫ በኦሮሚያ ክልል ባሌ ዞን 552 የሚሆኑ የምርጫ ጣቢያዎች
ከኢትዮጵያ ብሮድካስቲንግ ኮርፖሬሽን በእለቱ በአቦቦ የምርጫ ክልልና በአካባቢው ያሉ የምርጫ ዘገባዎችን ወደናንተ እናደርሳለን።
ከፋዞን ከ428,000 በላይ ዜጎች ተመዝግበዋል። ንብረት የተወነነኝ ከቦንጋ።
Ethiopian President Sahle-Work Zewde has casted her vote in Addis Ababa. The president casted the ballot in a polling station situated in Kirkos sub-city of Addis Ababa. A number of senior government officials and leaders of contending political parties are participating in the poll across the country. Heads of regional states and ambassadors of various government institutions have casted their ballots this morning. Take a look.
When I opened the parliament last time, I said this election should be better than the previous elections. I hope that this election could be better in different criteria. I'm really surprised due to the large number of voters here. This is really the manifestations of Ethiopian people's commitment to ensure their democratic rights. In a democratic process, election is a big issue. But it's one and the only part of the process. But it's not a goal by itself. When we finish this election, tomorrow is another day. Therefore, we all Ethiopians should stand in unison to address other challenges of our country. All political parties should respect the votes of Ethiopians. If political parties defeated an election, it means a preparation to the upcoming another election campaign. My long experience tells me that all things should be seen as the context of the country. I said tomorrow is bright. We should cooperate to rise our country.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed casted his vote in Bashasha, Jimma zone in the state of Oromia, his birthplace. Speaking on the occasion, the Premier said the 6th general election across the country is the manifestation of a new democracy to the nation. Talking to ETV, Abiy expressed his admiration to all contesting political parties to come and take part in the election without having pessimistic thoughts about Ethiopia.
የዘንድሮ ምርጫ ስድስተኛው ሀገራዊ ምርጫ በብዙ መልኩ የሚያስደምም ነው።
The 6th general election is differing with other elections in the past. We have many media houses across the country. There were no Oromia Media Network, Fana, Walta and other media houses in 2005 election. There was only one media, that is ETV. Thus, this media institution are broadcasting the 6th general election without any problem. This is unique feature in Ethiopia history. I want to express all contesting political parties for their trustworthy and to take part in the election.
Election candidates in Addis Ababa say the 6th general election is unique in several ways. Independent observers say the voting has been going on smoothly, but with minor problems observed. Santayo Tamrat reports.
Ethiopia has conducted the much-awaited 6th general election on Monday. The voting in this polling station in Addis Ababa started after a 2-hour delay. Voters said this 6th election is historic and they are happy for being part of it. They also said they voted for a party they thought could bring peace and stability across the country, as well as cause meaningful economic changes that can significantly improve citizens' lives.
This is the 5th of 76 polling station is here at the 23rd constituency in Fasil Klafto subsidy. And 1,500 voters are expected to cast their ballots. And as you see here, a large number of people are just waiting in lines to cast their ballots. 12 major parties are just taking part here, running to take a single seat in the parliament. And some major candidates said that this election is by far unique for a number of reasons. One such reason is that both the government and the Electoral Board of Ethiopia have been working to make the election fair, free and credible.
Since this morning, early morning, 6:30, and this shows how people are eager for transparent, democratic and participatory election. This is what's happening, this is what we see. This election is unique in the sense that there is a commitment on the part of the leadership, on the part of the political parties that take part in this campaign, to make it transparent, democratic and open. This is basically what makes it unique. From the formations of the institutions that are handling the elections, like election board and others, you can see the transparency. There is also a huge venue for the international observers. I guess we see a huge international media here, the media representatives of renowned international institutions from different parts of the world.
This is probably the first election that have a very big chance to be credible. That's why we are very optimistic, but at the same time we are very cautious. We are cautious because we know there are all kinds of logistical problems here and there, but hopefully that these are not problems that would change the outcome of this election. If that happens, then this would be a great day for this country.
Independent observers say the voting has been going smoothly, but with minor problems.
There is not that much problem, honestly speaking. We have been, seeing a number of polling stations. As I said, only late opening of the polling stations. The queuing is very long, and also some, COVID-related precautions must be in line with. Otherwise, as far as our observation so far is concerned, there is not that much problems or difficulties that hinder the election process not to continue.
Several international media outlets were covering the election in different parts of the city. There were also observers from the African Union and the Ethiopian civil society organizations, among others.
And now to tell us more on these issues, I'm joined over the phone with Professor Bayena to tell us an overview on how today's election went. Professor Bayena, are you there?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Very nice to have you with us this evening. How was the election day today? How did it go?
Well, I think the population came out in huge numbers. And it was peaceful, in particular in the bigger cities. Well, I would be frank with you that the situation in the countryside, in particular within the farmers' community, was difficult because there were elements who descended on those communities from Addis Ababa and other higher-ups to get elected with the intention of getting elected by hook or crook. And there are also local officers who were, conniving with those. And so that did cause a lot of problem for us. And the going has not been easy. So there has been fraudulent activities down at the grassroots level, in particular in the countryside.
Professor Bayena, on the positive side, do you think this election is different from the previous one Ethiopia has held so far?
Yeah, I've seen all of it. Beginning with, say, 1993, 94. I've been to these election affairs. Well, I think this is definitely qualitatively different. The spirit of, the population to conduct this election peacefully was rather, very encouraging. And I've seen less politicking as far as, lining up and, preparing to cast the votes peacefully. So this is distinctly different. The spirit is different, in the big cities. But when you go down to the grassroots, in particular in the population that is less educated, poor, and dependent on some relief supplies and what have you, that population has been troubled immensely by the lower coverage of the ruling party.
All right, Professor Bayena Petros, Chairman of Social Democratic Party, thank you so much for your time and for sharing us your insights.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given.
Have a great evening.
All right, you too.
The 6th Ethiopian general election kicked off early this morning at 6 a.m. across several parts of the country. Hundreds of thousands of voters in major cities, including Addis Ababa, have casted their ballots as almost all constituencies all over the country are seeing active participation of citizens. Higher government officials, prominent persons, have also taken part in the historic event and have casted their votes at their respective polling stations. Jerusalem Betha has more.
Ethiopians have turned out to cast vote in the 6th general election. They are seen in long lines to polling stations starting before dawn and have been awaiting their turn to participate in the historic polling process. The castings have already started in expected constituencies. Voters, including higher government officials in Addis Ababa and in different towns of the states, have casted their vote early this morning. Speaker of the House of People's Representative Taggese Chafo has casted ballot in Arba Minch town polling station, and Deputy Mayor of Addis Ababa Adanech Abebe and Jan Rabbai have casted their vote in their respective polling stations. Spokesperson of Ministry of Foreign Affairs Ambassador Dina Mufti has casted ballots in a polling station in Nefas sub-city, while President of the new region Sidama Desta Ledamo went to the poll in Awasa city. Melesa Alemu, Deputy Coordinator for Democratic System Building Center, also has casted his vote early in the morning.
ህዝቡ በነቂስ ወጥቶ አሁን እንደሚታየው የድምጹን መስጠት አለበት ብዬ ነው ማስበው።
I urge all Ethiopians to cast their vote and practice their democratic right in a proper way, because we are on the way to decide the destiny of our country for the coming 5 years. Therefore, we have to take our share through electing our representatives peacefully.
ስለዚህ በዚህ አጋጣሚ ማስተላለፍ የምፈልገው መልእክት ድምጽ ለመስጠት
Other prominent peoples, including President of the Ethiopian Olympic Committee, Dr. Ashebir Olde Giorgis, has casted his ballot in the town of Bonga.
The whole process of the election is going well. As we know, election gives an opportunity to people to cast their vote for what we believe to govern the country. Therefore, I am here to cast my vote. I urge all Ethiopians to cast their vote for political parties they want peacefully. Political parties should also be responsible in respecting voters of the people.
Chief of the Oromia State Shimelis Abdissa, Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice Party leader Brahanu Negga, and Water, Irrigation and Energy Minister Seleshi Bekele have also casted their vote at their respective polling stations. Local and international observers and media are present in polling stations across the country.
Meanwhile, voters expressed concern over the burden of inflation in the economy. Kasahun Chani has compiled their grievances as follows.
I have arrived early in the morning here. We were waiting for this election day for long. Here I have also arrived at 5 a.m. in the early morning, just like my friend. The reason why I have come here is to vote early and to go to my work and accomplish successfully. I am a resident of this district, and in accordance with the call of the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia yesterday, I have arrived early in the morning, that is at 5:30 a.m. at this place. It is not easy. Election is not an easy task. It is a matter of country, and it is a matter of the people. And we wish to all Ethiopians to obtain peace, prosperity and happiness. Honestly speaking, the people surprises me because high turnout of people have come early at 11 a.m. Besides, I saw persons with disabilities and the elderly people to vote their leaders. As I was waiting for this day being suspense, I now have voted my party, which I believe it could lead the country, and I would like to leave my message to the other to come and vote.
Chair of the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia, Burtukan Mideksa, said the country is undertaking successful elections in its different parts. Revealing the first phase report of the election day, she said the country is witnessing such a peaceful and successful election process. Take a listen to her.
Today is a good day for voters as well as contenders of this election. I thus congratulate all for that. I want to explain that the first phase of the election is going well with no security threat, except a single case in Ambo where election has temporarily been interrupted in only one polling station. But no serious problem happened. I hope we will rerun that again.
She said all polling stations had opened as per their schedule and voters have been casting their ballots in a peaceful manner.
ፍጹም ሰላማዊ በሆነ ሁኔታ ዜጎች እየመረጡ ይገኛሉ ማለት
Voters have been taking part in the election process in a very peaceful manner since early in the morning. Everything began as per its timetable. However, we witnessed that close to 9 polling stations in Addis Ababa could not meet the deadline to open the vote. These election executives lack responsibility in this regard, but the election board addressed it as soon as possible.
A lawyer, Meseret Ayalu, says this Ethiopia's 6th general election is instrumental to show the whole world that the country is capable of undertaking free, fair and credible election. Take a listen to that discussion.
This election is the turning point for our country. Whether we are going to the democratic and developed country or not. So after that, I think the international community also understand this concept, because when we see the last 3 days, the American foreign ministers also said that all the negotiation, all the discussion should be done after the election. So this election process for us is very important, and this election process should be fair and free. To be fair and free, all the parties, including the ruling parties and also the opposing party, have the responsibility to do that.
Voters who cast ballot in Arada sub-city of Addis Ababa urge political parties to prioritize national agenda, whatever the election result could be. Voters wished and demanded the party that will be elected to stabilize the cost of living. Residents said the election is being conducted peacefully. Goshu Melissa reports.
Ethiopia has conducted the 6th national election on Monday, participating 47 political parties. Addis Ababa, Arada sub-city residents lined up early in the morning to cast their ballots. Arada sub-city residents who casted their ballot urged contesting political parties to prioritize national agenda and work for national unity, whatever the election result could be.
We are under transitional government. We should elect and need to legitimate government. The government elected by the people is to the people. That's why we came early to vote. What is expected from political parties is that they have to prioritize the national agenda and work together. Whatever the election result could be, they have to cheer up and hug each other warmly. They should not create chaos in the country. Even though we Africans do not have such experiences, we have to practice on words now.
Abba Samuel Waldehariat is religious leader. He lined up to cast his ballot. He wished and demanded the elected government to stabilize the cost of living.
The process of the election is good. We came in the very morning. We are not getting service quickly. People lined up for a long hour, but we should vote. In the first place, I wish the elected government to stabilize the cost of living. Secondly, the government should ensure peace and security in the country in the post-election period, and the people should work together with the government to ensure peace.
Meanwhile, local observers said the election is taking place peacefully.
I come from Women's Federation. To tell you frankly, so far the election is taking place peacefully. Residents came out in large numbers to vote. As an observer, I saw women casting their ballots widely in this polling station. We are exercising our right to vote and not to be victims in violence.
Many are speculating that this election will be a historic one and Ethiopia is expected to lay the foundation for democracy. Some 37 million people are expected to participate in the 6th national election.
ከአዲስ አበባ ከተማ 568 ኪሎ ሜትሮችን ተጉዘን በቤንች ሸኮ ዞን ተገኝተናል። አስማር ብርሃኑ ነኝ ከቤንች ሸኮ ዞን ሚዛን አማን።
በደቡብ ወሎ ዞን 22 የምርጫ ጣቢያዎች የሚገኙ ሲሆን በ21ዱ ምርጫ እንደሚካሄድ ይጠበቃል። በተለይ ደግሞ በዚሁ በደቡብ ወሎ ዞን 1600 በላይ የምርጫ ጣቢያዎች የሚገኙ ሲሆን
በስድስተኛው ሀገር አቀፍ ምርጫ በምዕራብ ሐረርጌ በተለይ በጭሮ በደሳና ሂርና እንዲሁም ሌሎች በዞኑ ያሉ አካባቢዎች መረጃዎች ወደናንተ ማድረሳችሁ አቤል ሙሉጌታ ነኝ።
ለስድስተኛው ሀገር አቀፍ ምርጫ ሁለት የምርጫ ክልሎችና 220 የምርጫ ጣቢያዎች በተዘጋጁበት በጎንደር ከተማ 12 የፖለቲካ ፓርቲዎች ይወዳደራሉ። ከጎንደር ስለ ስድስተኛው ሀገር አቀፍ ምርጫ ለሚተላለፉ መረጃዎች ራሄል ፍሬው።
በዚህ በቤንሻንጉል ጉሙዝ ክልል አሶሳ ዞንና ማኦኮሞ ልዩ ወረዳ
እኔም ጥበቡ ይርዳው ለተመሳሳይ ዓላማ በአማራ ክልል የአዊ ብሔረሰብ ዞን አስተዳደር እንጅባራ ከተማ አገኛለሁ።
እዚህ ደቡብ ጎንደር ብቻ 1 ሚሊዮን የሚጠጋ መራጭ ተመዝግቧል። ተመስገን እንዳለ ከደብረ ታቦር።
Welcome back again. The African Union Election Observation Mission has been monitoring the election process in Addis Ababa. The team is observing the process in various parts of the capital, led by the head of AU Election Observation Mission, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former Nigerian president. Olusegun Obasanjo told reporters his observation that the election is by far the best in Ethiopia. He has also mentioned some handicaps such as the coronavirus pandemic and some security issues. However, he has appreciated the orderliness of the election process and the punctuality of the people. Take a listen to him.
The general impression given is that this election, in spite of the handicaps, and I will talk about the handicaps in a moment, has been a lot better than elections in the past in terms of opening more space for election participation or electoral participation. The handicaps, of course, are understandable. Security have been one of the handicaps. Pandemic have been one of the handicaps. A little bit on the logistics side, a little bit on the time, even that the election organization had to take. But everything taken together, the election organizing bodies have done their best.
Ethiopia's polls today were largely conducted in a peaceful manner and witnessed a high voter turnout. This is according to a statement issued by the Eastern Africa Standby Force, EASF. The force, which has deployed 12 teams of observers in 5 regions, further disclosed that out of the 96 polling stations visited by the observers, nearly 40% opened late. However, at the time of opening, voters were already queuing. The ESF election observer teams have not recorded any major incident, it said, adding the observers have also recorded high participation of women and youth. In most polling stations visited, priority was given to the elderly and physically challenged. Universal principles such as secrecy of ballot were maintained in all polling stations visited. However, in some polling stations, the layout is not as per the election directives. Due to the heavy rains reported in some areas, delay was experienced at the start of the voting exercise, the statement said. The EASF-EOM urged the law enforcement agencies to be vigilant as they maintain a high level of professionalism when discharging their duties. The EASF observer teams will remain at the various zones of deployment until the counting process is completed, it said, maintaining the same station used as the opening station. Ethiopia held elections on Monday, billed by the Prime Minister as proof of his commitment to democracy after decades of repressive rule, although voting was delayed due to violence in some areas and opposition parties boycotted the poll in others. International media outlets reported the poll on Monday in various ways. Alula Teklamariam presents the following stories compiled by CNN and Reuters.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said last week that national and regional votes would be the first attempt at free and fair elections in Ethiopia. However, ethnic violence and printing mistakes have delayed election in a fifth constituencies, including all of those in Tigray. In Oromia, Ethiopia's most populous province, the largest opposition parties are boycotting the vote over what they say is intimidation by the regional security forces. Although confirming that voting was mostly peaceful, Election Board Chair Birtukan Mideksa pointed out that several opposition parties had complained their agents were beaten and their badges confiscated in the state of Amhara in the southern nationalities and people's region. She didn't say who was responsible for that. But Birtukan warned local officials and law enforcement officers should immediately take corrective measures. Meanwhile, CNN reports that voting is still underway in Ethiopia amid conflict and raging humanitarian crisis in Tigray. CNN recalled that the European Union has long withdrawn its election observation mission to Ethiopia, citing the government's uncooperative stance in fulfilling standard requirements relating to security and the independence of the observer group.
You're watching ETV Languages, a quick reminder of the day's headlines. Voters express concern over burden of inflation in the economy. And that's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha Germany. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.